Hello there and welcome to Cook Yourself Vegan with Eloise. Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious creamy tiramisu with no eggs or dairy required. So for all the vegans out there like myself who crave their indulgent creamy desserts, then fear not, because there are alternative ingredients out there that you can use. Okay, to start with we'll make the cream filling so we can stick that in the fridge to chill when we make the sponge later. Okay, so first we need 1 cup of cream cheese, dairy-free. Put in the bowl there. Then we need 3/4 of a cup of sour cream, dairy-free. Okay, now we've got 1/4 of a cup of soy cream. Okay, we want to beat them together. Mix them together there. Okay, you should get a nice, thick, creamy texture. There we go, look at that. Okay. Now we want to add in 1/2 teaspoon of flour and 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. Mix that in again. Okay, just make sure it's all combined. Okay, last of all, we want to get 1/2 cup of icing sugar and sift that in on the top there. If you like your desserts a little less sweet, you can use less of this. It's completely up to you. Just try it as you go along. Okay, once that's in, give it one last whisk there. Lovely. So beat it up until it's quite thick. Okay, and then just 1 teaspoon of vanilla to finish. Whisk that in. Okay, that's great. If you see there, it's still a little bit runny, but that's fine because we're going to stick that in the fridge and it should harden a little bit, thicken until it's quite a thick cream to put on top of our coffee sponge later. Lovely. Okay, so you can either stick that in the fridge in the bowl there if you've got enough space, or I'm just going to put it into a container and then whack it in. Okay, so now for the sponge. What we want to do is combine all our dry ingredients to sift them in. So we've got 1 cup of flour, 1/2 cup of sugar. If it's granulated, it tends to not go through the sieve, so I just whack that in there. Got 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of cornstarch or corn flour. Okay, once that's in, just give it a quick mix around. Make sure it's all combined. There we go, easy peasy. Now we want to add in our wet ingredients. So we've got 1 cup of water. Mix that in. We've got 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil. This is what we use instead of egg to combine the mixture to make it that wet, sticky texture. Okay, add that in as well. And then last but not least, we've got 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. That's all our ingredients, so we just want to whisk that together there to make sure it's all mixed in. I'm going to swap to a whisk here. This is going to be a sponge that's going to go in between the layers of the tiramisu and cream. So you want this quite fluffy before it goes in the oven. There we go. Once that's all mixed, should look a bit like that. We want to oil about a 9-inch pan. I just use the spray oil. I've got sunflower flora here. You can use anything. I just find it goes on easier rather than spreading some butter around. Okay, and then if we pour that in, so it's nice and even. Okay. Just get a teaspoon and spread the mixture out at the bottom of the pan just to make sure it's all even. Okay. And now the oven's heated to 350 degrees. We just want to pop that in for 20 minutes. Okay, got 20 minutes to do whatever we like. Okay, so my sponge is out of the oven. It's nice and golden brown there. So now I want to start putting it all together. So, depending on how you're going to serve your tiramisu, I'm going to do it in glass tumblers, so it's individual pots. You can do it as in a large serving dish if you'd like, but I'm going to show you how to do it this way. Okay, so you get your tumblers which you're going to use. You tip them upside down and pop them on top of the sponge. It should cut really easily, and just press down there. There we go, until you've got a nice circle biscuit to go in. All you need is 2 of these for each dessert. So like I said, I'm just making this to serve 2 people. So you double the ingredients if you wanted to serve more. Okay, push down again. There we go, dead easy. So now for this dessert, I've got 2 circle pieces of cake. What you want to do, when you've got these, is put them back onto your baking tray and just put in the oven for another, say, 7 minutes or so, just so they're a bit more crispy around the edges. Okay, so now our biscuits are out of the oven and cooled, let them chill. I'm going to dip them in so they're completely soaked in a shallow dish of espresso. This can't be any ordinary coffee, it has to be espresso. Okay, so I'm just going to dip it in till it's all soaked. You'll be able to see. Just check the middle of the cake as well, that that's completely soaked through. It will go quite soggy, so just when you get it back out, make sure you hold it together there. Okay, and then what you want to do, so once you've done that, is then get your glass tumbler, place the glass on top and then quickly tip it over and it should go to the bottom of the tub. Okay, you can use a spoon to flatten that down there. And then that's our first layer of our tiramisu. Got a lovely, strong, rich coffee flavour with a vanilla cake. There we go. Once you've done that, you want to add the cream you made earlier. Now this has been in the fridge and you can see it's a lot thicker than it was when I put it in. Okay, so just 2 tablespoons of that on top of the sponge you've just done. There we go. You see that? It's starting to pull itself together. Okay, we're going to do our next layer. Oh, before that, nearly forgot. We've got to put a sprinkle of cocoa powder over that layer. Okay, lovely. Okay, and then let's do our next biscuit. So again, just soak it in there until it's all covered in coffee. There we go. And then the same again, let it drain through your fingers a little bit. You don't want the dessert too wet. Okay. This is definitely a messy dessert to make. Okay, and then we're just going to put that on top of the layer we've just done. There we go, and again, you can just pat that down with the back of the tablespoon. There we go. Lovely. Okay, and then just before I put the other layer of cream on the top, I'm just going to get a tiny bit of kitchen roll because we want it to look nice and neat for our guests if you're having a dinner party or whatnot. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit of kitchen roll, and you see some of the edge of the glass is a bit splattered with us trying to get the cream and the biscuit in. So I'm just going to give a quick wipe, not touching the dessert inside, around the edge to give it a cleaner look. So when the cream goes on, that's all you can see and not bits of biscuit. Okay. Okay, then for our last layer, another 2 tablespoons. There we go, lovely. And then again, top with cocoa powder. And there is your vegan tiramisu.
If there's any ingredients or steps you missed on today's show, then you can always check my website for the recipes, www.cookyourselfvegan.weebly.com. Next week I'll be showing you how to make a delicious creamy chicken and mushroom stroganoff. So make sure you stay tuned.